Have you ever wondered how people are creating all these fancy projects? What kind of things did they have to learn to make such things? And how long does it take to make them? Me too. So I decided to learn full-stack development myself and build something that I can showcase to other people. And no, we're not talking about my other project. We're talking about something much more complex. So complex that, well, I'll let you watch the video for that. The tech stack that I'm using is Node.js and Express for backend and React along with some libraries for the front end. Since I only spent a couple of weeks trying to learn most of the stuff, I had my notes open to assist me while coding. I am using a website to know what to make, but more on that later. As a lesson from a previous video, I started by creating a board to track what I will be doing. Well, this wasn't really helpful because I didn't use it after the first API track. I started by creating a new project. Yeah, I forgot even how to create a new project, but this is where my notes came into clutch. Use these commands in your terminal, answer some questions, and we have an app. While this is just some boilerplate code, we still have to do the heavy lifting. I simply yoinked some configuration files from my other project because I don't know how to create these myself yet. Now, we need some files that will handle what we see in the terminal when something goes wrong and when something doesn't go wrong. I obviously overestimated myself. Turns out I don't remember shit, and my notes are not helping either. So you know what I did? I googled how to create those files because not everything can be solved with Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V. Anyways, after our helper files are created, it's time to create the app itself. Yes, we haven't even created the app yet, and everything else was just the groundwork. And so I did. This is me from the future. Turns out my app wouldn't run because there is a bug apparently in the code. Restart my server, it doesn't work. Check my model, compare it with a different model. Look through my other app code. Look through the current app code. Reinstall dependencies. Change the API code. Look online, doesn't find anything. Feeling ashamed at myself, thinking what kind of developer I am. Delete dependency. Reinstall dependency. Restart the server. Doesn't work. Oh, I forgot to mention what kind of API request this is. It works. No the fuck it doesn't. Check my database online. There's nothing there. Starts panicking in developer. I don't know what the fuck that means. If you are a normal human being, the first thing you would do here is start by looking at the error message and see what it says. And watching myself makes me realize I have a long way to go. Anyways, I was able to fix the issue by simply replacing the word string with array since we're storing tags in an array of strings. And the data now shows up in the database. And that, ladies and mental gen, alone took around 1 hour. Once I got the hang of it, making other APIs was not nearly as hard except for the update API where I had to use the put method, which I have never used before, but I got it to work. And just as I thought everything was working, I ran into an issue. My API was not able to find the post with a specific ID to update. And to my surprise, there were no fucking errors in the terminal. I did some googling but found nothing relevant. I tried asking ChatGPT, which I shouldn't have if I'm trying to learn something new without pointers. And so help me God, I'm blind as fuck. I fucking forgot to put the request in front of this fucker. You can't imagine the amount of time I spent trying to solve this. And with that, you might think it is working as it should. No the fuck it doesn't. Turns out put doesn't replace the content of the post with a new one. It creates an entirely new post with a new ID, but it was easily fixable by simply deleting the previous post as I saved the new one. If you visit a website, there are chances that you can search for things on that website. But how do you create a search feature in your application? I tried reading Mongo's documentation on their search feature since my database is hosted there, but their documentation is way too fucking overwhelming. I asked ChatGPT and fucking understood nothing. After struggling for a good few minutes, I got it working. If you have been paying attention to the video, you might notice that everything I've done resides only on the backend. And now we need a front end to hook all this functionality to. I already have a front end folder with some code in it, which comes boring. Delete the boilerplate code, write my own code, create a new file to handle API conversation, forgot how to export the functions, look through other app code to see how it's done, create a way to display all the posts in the database. It fails, rewrite the code for displaying posts, it works. At this point, I moved everything into its own component and decided on how my app should look like. So I pulled xKillerDraw to roughly draw what the users are going to see. I then created a button which lets you expand and collapse the contents of a post, then a button which lets you hide and show all the posts, and a create post button which was supposed to hide the creation form when you click and show the form if you click it again. But for some reason I could not get it to work. I then got into the rabbit hole where my app was just not working as I wanted it to, and the parts I wanted to create were just too complex for my level that I gave up. Midway through the project I realized that I made a completely different project than what I originally wanted to, and since I already fulfilled the requirements of the one I started, which was just to create the backend, I gave up on the front end. The total time was 3 hours 30 minutes spanned across 2 days. The website I'm using to learn how to code is this one, and then I use this website to make projects. Anyways, these types of videos do take a long time since I have to first learn the thing, find something to make that thing and record, and then edit the video. So if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Bye bye!